So what is going on, dammers? My name is Mehul and welcome to your third Angular tutorial. Angular 6 basically does not matter. Angular is same as Angular 6.5.4, whatever you want. So in this tutorial, what we're gonna do is take a look at the overview of what we have done about the file structure and a little bit concepts related to little things we're gonna see in those files. So let's get started. So in this video, we're going to cover some of the things like file structure, then how Angular actually enters into your application, actually enters into your source code, how browser sees Angular. Then we'll see how Angular is bootstrapping. Then we'll come to modules, something known as modules, which is the core foundation of Angular. Then decorators. Now, mind you that we're not going to go a lot deep into these things right now because it may overwhelm you, but we're going to come to these stuffs later on in the code because they are very important to fully understand. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. So you can see that I have my code already in place, and if we take a look in the file structure, you can see it's quite messy actually. If we even remove node modules folders, there are so many things going on in source folder, assets, environment files, some TypeScript files as well. TypeScript is pretty much just JavaScript only. It's the enhanced version of JavaScript, a better one. So you don't need to worry about that if you don't know what TypeScript is. Then what we have is some sort of configuration files, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So we do not need to understand each and every file right now. We're gonna understand all those files as we move along with the series and do things which require those particular files, those particular set of files. And yep, so starting from the top, we can leave this E2E folder. This is just for testing. I'm gonna probably never use this, at least in the series. Then inside source folder, what we have is this app folder. Now this app folder, you can see that it consists of a component.css file, which is blank, HTML file, then there's spec file, which we can leave for now. Then there's a TypeScript component actual file, which consists of a decorator. We're gonna come to that soon. And then a module file. Okay, so so far looks kind of simple. We have a module. A module basically is just a way to split your code into some independent files which actually means something on their own. For example, a module in your application could be, for example, if let's say you're creating a YouTube downloader, then a module in your application could be a module which let's just say fetches the downloadable links from some sort of API, right? So that module can function on its own. So you can separate that piece of code and you'll call that thing as a module. So you can use that particular module in some other application. For example, you can use the same module as a part of a mobile app. You can use the same module as a part of let's just say a desktop or web application, and so on. But here what we mean by module is basically just splitting up the code into smaller pieces so that it's easier to organize, right? So this is the module file, which is the app module, which is the root module, which is required. At least one module is required in Angular. Then what we have as our entry point is this index.html file, and actually this main.ts is the entry file, right? So what this index.html file is, pretty much you can see that it just consists of basic HTML what we have here, but with the exception that we have something special here, app root. Now we have this app root. What it does is that it gives Angular a place to start working. So whatever Angular do, it would do inside this thing. So AppRoot just gives it a place to start working, right? So then we have this main.ts file, which is pretty much the file which actually initializes your Angular project, right? So if we take a look at this main.ts file, then what we have is that we are importing a bunch of modules here from Angular platform itself. Then we are importing the app module, which we need to import because we need to bootstrap this. Now bootstrapping pretty much just means you're kickstarting it, you're initializing it. So if the environment of production is true, which is the environment file, now this would run when your Angular project is running in say production mode, because then Angular needs to perform certain optimizations because it's running in production. Now performance matters, not code clarity, right? So if that's true, then we just do some performance boost. Then we are bootstrapping the application with this root module. You can name this whatever you want, but it's a convention. Angular CLI gives you app module, so we're gonna keep it that way. All right, that is done, and then what we have is main.ts is done. Polyfills is just some polyfills for older browsers. You do not need to worry about that. Polyfills just means that if the browser does not support a particular functionality which is provided natively by the JavaScript engine or by the browser, then polyfill will be the JavaScript code which mimics that particular functionality. So it's not required for us. Then styles.css is just a global style sheet file. Test.css we can leave for now, and these are some configuration files. Okay, so if we take a look, we are done with this file structure thing. We are done with the entry point of application, which is this main.ts file, right? We bootstrap our application with this app module. This app module has declared app component as one of its component. Now again, we're gonna come to components later on in the series, but what components really mean, what they mean actually is that you can think about components like, let's say you have a page, then let's say you have an app, a mobile app, then in that app you have a header, right? You need a header on every activity or every page of your mobile, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna separate that into a component. Now that component is reusable. So basically the use of components is to make code reusable. So if you have a piece of code which is you can repeat a view which you can repeat a lot of places, can be used as a component. So right now we are just making use of this app component as the main component, and all the components goes into this declaration. So we're gonna talk about this decorator in very deep later on the series, but right now just remember this ng module is the thing Angular depends on. So this is the main thing, and we have all our components, but we bootstrap our application from this app component. So if you understand the flow, main.ts is the main file. We bootstrap our module bootstraps the component runs this HTML file through this template URL here and includes these styles listed here and acts on the selector, which is app root, which is exactly what we have in our index.html file here, right? So I hope everything makes sense till now. And the next thing what we have is that we have covered bootstrapping here, we have covered modules here, we have covered decorators, not really, but decorators, what they are is actually they just provide additional information to the class, or that is kind of a very vague definition. We're gonna come to what decorators exactly are in ES7 later on, but for now you can just assume decorators to be something which decorate your class, which provides some additional information but does not change the raw information of that particular class or function or whatever you decorate it with, right? So you can see right here, component decorator. This decorator is decorating this class right here. It's not changing the class, it's decorating it. We're gonna come to that later, don't worry if you don't get it right now. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this tutorial, and In the next tutorial, we're gonna probably see about decorators only, because I have seen a lot of people are confused about what exactly are decorators. There's a vague definition of decorators going on in the market that they're just used for decorating. We're gonna go deep into what exactly these decorators are and how to actually work with them, not only in Angular code, but in your regular JavaScript as well. So that's all for this one, and see you then in the next tutorial.
And one more thing, if you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon to receive instant notifications.